offense today in Michael Mayer, and still were able to put 32 points on the board, come out, able to pull out a victory on the road. And then they were without maybe their third or fourth best weapon and Chris Tyree pretty much half the game. Don't know exactly what that injury is. I'm not sure if Kelly has touched on that yet in his post-game presser, but he was clearly hobbled. He wasn't in on kickoff returns. He wasn't in on punt returns. So unless he got benched for whatever reason, he was hurt, and that was a big deal as well. So kudos to Notre Dame for being able to even pull off anything offensively without those two guys. Because I'll be honest, when I saw Michael Mayer not in the game, I was like, I don't know how they're going to move the football today.
Yeah. I mean, and how much easier would Tyler Buckner's life have been if he had, a security blanket like Michael Mayer? I mean, maybe neither of those two interceptions get thrown. I mean, you never know. So, yeah, that was a major thing. I had a point about Jack Cohn that I wanted to make, and of course, as soon as I started talking, I lost it because I wanted to hit up Mayer. But I don't know. To your point, then I guess Oh, okay. So here's what it was. Sorry about this. Like I say, it's approaching midnight on the East Coast, so I've been up for quite a while today. So cut me some slack, I guess. But I think I think that your point about it looks like the offense line, probably played their best game of the season. I mean, the bar wasn't very high, let's be honest. I mean, and I don't mean that as to be real snarky. I mean, I'm just saying that, you've seen it pretty much every game. I mean, there's a little bit of improvement here and there, but then, there's the one play that's just terrible. And it didn't really seem like all night that they really had just, a whole ton of off schedule plays. Tonight, it sort of seemed like what hampered the offense a little bit was, Buckner with a little bit of inaccuracy on third downs. At one point, they flashed the graphic that he was like 0 of 4 and an interception on third down. And I think that was just prior to his second interception, which also was on a third and long. Some of the off schedule was, blindside block, a clipping call that just whatever. I don't know. But to circle back to the point about the offensive line looking the best, I think that's twofold. I think one, Buckner can obviously make up for some deficiencies on the offensive line a little bit. But I think the other part is, they're also able to run the ball with Buckner in a little bit, which means that, teams don't just tee off on the pass. I feel like if I'm a defensive end and I see Jack Cohn back there, I'm thinking, I can take whatever route I want to get to Jack Cohn because, he's not running. I don't have to stay and contain. I don't have to not over pursue because if he runs, he's getting a yard or two, so I can rush with a little bit more reckless and not have to worry about that so much. Whereas if Buckner's back there, and I think Drew Pine has an element of this as well, if I get out of my lane, I'm going to leave a nice running lane for one of those guys to take advantage of. So I think that's, an added layer to it too. Which is exactly why I wanted Drew Pine to start this football game. And who knows, we don't have to sit and talk about, I know we're on, 28 minutes and counting here of this. And we've really only talked about the quarterback, offensive line mostly. But, I think that, I still don't understand certain things, and I still don't understand why. I wonder what would have happened in this game if Pine would have started. Would we have seen Buckner at all? I have my doubts. And so to maybe that extent, Cohn starting the game, maybe that's the best thing. And maybe the best take I saw, and I'll stop my ramble rant with this, is that
take it, bro.
I need to. But maybe the best thing that, maybe Brian Kelly hoodwinked into thinking, well, it's obvious that Drew Pine's going to start. I'm going to throw Jack Cohn out there for 2 or 3 series and let the newness of the game and things wear off a little bit, the game to slow down just a bit and be less frantic at the beginning. And then I'm going to Buckner almost regardless of what happens. So we're just kind of avoiding the disaster at the beginning of the game, and then we're going to turn it over. Maybe that was the plan all along. It sort of felt like that might be at least a little bit of the thought. Like I say, I don't know to the full extent to which that's true, but wouldn't surprise me if that was kind of part of the thought process.